Hello, my name is Mariana, and today this is a reading for Pisces. So Pisces, as usual, I'm doing a reading with my own tarot deck, so the cards that you see are from this deck. So there's a very simple message for you today here in this reading, Pisces, and I feel like it's allowing both of your aspects, masculine and feminine, especially in your mind, in your brain, your left side and your right side, to be in love, to work together, to unite as, they settle into a very comfortable, restful place where you don't have to keep on fighting against each other, or they don't have to keep on fighting against each other, because it's like when they are together, they're going to help you move through, or maybe I should say push through, a situation that right now is being presented, or at least you're seeing it as an obstacle or as a challenge to be overcome, to be surpassed, because it feels like the image that I'm seeing, especially with the last card, and I was already seeing it in the first part, but it's just being confirmed with the last card. There is a practical problem, a practical issue that you're having to deal with, but it's more complicated because your mind is turning it into something more than what it actually is, right? So for you, it feels like this great big deal that is perhaps, very hard to overcome. But the guidance here very clearly is saying that if you push through, integrating most of all the feminine, then you'll be able to overcome this a lot easier than you were imagining. So we're beginning with the Nine of Wands. This card, it brings me the it's like this traditional message of the Nine of Wands, of hurdles and burdens perhaps, but not the type of burden that is impossible to overcome, although it is very challenging, right? What I heard with this card was push through, push through. So I was still unsure with just this card here, whether or not this was something that you have been pushing through, that you were just about to push through, or that you were already doing so, right? So it's like this time frame of where you were in this situation, although to me the nines, because they present the path, a long path, it's like you're still in the middle of it. So I don't feel like you have been surprised by the fact that it's a new thing. I don't think so. I feel like perhaps even it's something that you're quite aware of, that you are already very aware that this is something that it's like your mind has a hard time dealing with, or even pushing through, right? So it's like you have to keep on telling yourself to keep on doing this, to keep on moving forward, to keep on pushing through, no matter how hard it is. And when this card came through next, the King of Swords, immediately I understood why this was so hard, or why this was feeling like a bigger task, or a bigger hurdle to overcome or to pass through, because it was something in your mind. And because it's the king, it's bringing the masculine aspect. So perhaps we are talking about this more cerebral type of rational or logical thinking, or this more straightforward, practical way of dealing with reality, dealing with an issue. But the thing about this, it's like this is pointing me to what is the source, or why this is so hard, right? Something in your mind. Maybe it's a mental blockage, or maybe it's just kind of like this this self-talk type of diminishing, or the types of things that we tell ourselves without even knowing that we're doing so, but they bring us down. They just weigh us down, right? So the way to overcome this, with this Queen of Swords coming next, it's talking about doing it gracefully, including the feminine side of your brain, right? The left side of your brain that is very, it's like it's creative, it's very imaginative, it's very sensitive, it's very intuitive. It's still in the mind. So, because these are talking about the two hemispheres of the brain, right? The masculine side and the feminine side. So, you know that there is like this fight in a sense, or maybe just a competition, right? So if there used to be a competition about who's going to be in charge, who's going to take the lead, who's going to make this decision, the feminine aspect, the more intuitive, sensitive, even more emotional side of you, or is it going to be the more practical, more I was going to say more mature, but I don't feel like it's a matter of maturity. Perhaps that's the hurdle. That's what you're saying to yourself, right? Because maybe the king is seen as more mature, maybe in a very masculine society as we have, but the feminine here wants to be the solution in a sense. It wants to be integrated because the Two of Cups here, it's talking about them reuniting. It's like, actually what I heard with the Two of Cups, it's interesting because yes, it talks about partnership. So in this case, it's not a romantic partnership. This is all you, Pisces. This is all happening inside your brain, inside your mind, inside your consciousness. So, and maybe we're talking just about, you know, this pure awareness, right? This pure consciousness. But then here, because it's the feminine, which could be seen as more mysterious and more occult, could be talking about the subconscious. So the integration between the two, but how you do to integrate them, right? This is the clue here with the Two of Cups. You love them both. It's not a matter of choosing who's in charge. It's not a matter of saying, okay, so I'm going to take this forward with this leading the way, or with this, right? So it's always like, that's the reason why I feel like there was this sort of competition in your mind, right? What is the right way to do this? Is it with this more practical approach, this more straightforward point of view, or is it with a more sensitive, more intuitive, flowy type of organic way to approach, right? But it's not, because they are from the same suit. So they are, it's like they understand each other. They are meant to be united and not in a ring to fight against each other, right? It's like they are meant to love each other. But I want to say they are meant to love each other as in, like, because this is all you are meant to love both equally, right? Because the twos to me also bring the steps forward. So it's like, if you have been making your decisions based on this, but this practical approach, this more masculine approach, has been only presenting you with hurdles because you maybe forgot about the feminine, right? To include this more sensitive aspect of yourself in this decision-making process. Integrate it, right? Bring the emotional side to the equation. Include both, because this is how you're going to take the steps forward that is going to feel a lot more integral, right? A lot more like this is possible, right? Like this is not something that is going to keep on being hard to push through. It's actually going to be a lot easier to take the steps when your heart is included. You see here how we have the two hearts, right? And I often say that the Queen's crown, it's like this huge heart that is pulsing with the suit in the center. And it's interesting also because we have another queen here, but before we go there, I was just mentioning that because I feel like there's something that is at the core of your heart that perhaps is like a sprinkle, right? Or like something that it's not, it's like you feel like it's still a hurdle. You feel like it's still something that is it's a problem, it's an issue, but it's like integrate that, love that. And the moment that you love who you are entirely, with the Four of Swords coming next, it's like you can rest assured. This is what I heard, because your steps are going to be balanced. Because here, the twos to me represent like your, like one step forward and then the next, right? One foot in front of the other. But then with the four, it's like there are two twos, right? Side by side. And this is because you have, it's like you have dared to love yourself as you are. And because of that, there is no competition anymore about who is leading who, the masculine or the feminine, who is in charge of your decision making, because they're both side by side, right? The masculine is taking the steps, but also the feminine. It's like they're taking equal steps, so they are moving together. And that's how I feel like you overcome this, because the sensation that I have, it's like being stuck in the mud, right? Or in quicksand. But actually what I heard was stuck in the mud, especially because the last card is a car, right? It's the Chariot that I was seeing, you know, with the wheels stuck in the mud, right? So, and maybe that's the hurdle. So it's a very practical thing, but we're going to talk about that. But before we move on, what I want to add about this Four of Swords is that there is going to be a time of integration, right? It's not like something you need to hurry, right? Because it's almost like it takes time for you to love yourself and reunite both sides. But you're going to have that time. It's not going to feel like you are in a rush, like you're late for something, or like you have to do this quickly, right? Because this Four of Swords it's almost like you'll have time to, you know, whomever, which I feel like it's the feminine, whomever is behind, to catch up. Or it's like if this was in a slower pace and this was moving so quick, right? It's like your mental aspect was moving very fast, but then your emotional was still behind, right? Needing to catch up. It's like you bring them into this balance, into this equilibrium, side by side. So it's like there's going to be a phase of adjustment for them to be side by side, for your brain to function in a way that is very balanced, that is very equal. So don't worry about doing this fast. Don't worry about loving yourself fully and integrally quick, right? It's like you're going to have time for this. So the practical obstacle that might be appearing with the Queen of Pentacles, so as I said before, to me, the queens, they bring this huge heart, right? I hope you can see. So the center of the heart is the suit of the queen that we're talking about. So first was this Queen of Swords that was maybe asking to be heard, to be seen, to be listened to be acknowledged. But here with this Queen of Pentacles, it feels like it's like the moment that you allow yourself, Pisces, to integrate both sides and to love yourself to the point that you're not excluding or choosing or competing for a side, right, to take over. When you integrate them both and when they are side by side, it's like it's almost like you're rested enough. It's like you're tranquil enough, you're calm enough to make decisions in a much more settled way. And that's when the practical stuff come through. So it's almost like before the practical problem really emerges, right, as something that is very clear in your heart and perhaps even in your mind, because now your mind is not in this race against each other, right? Both sides competing against each other. It's like you can see it for what it is without the extra, without the extra weight. So the practical will show itself, and you're going to know it in your heart, because this is how you overcome it, right? When you integrate the feminine with grace and sensitivity, and even like your emotions, bringing your emotions to this, not forgetting about them, right? Allowing your intuition to deal with something very practical, which is very interesting, because with the Chariot ending this part of the reading, I feel like it's something that is at the same time very practical, but also very symbolic. So if we think of the Chariot as a car, right, as this image that I was seeing about a car being stuck in the mud. So there is no way that he can progress, right? The car is stuck. It cannot move. So in a sense, that's the hardship. That's the challenge. It's like you were trying to push through, but you're still on the wheel, you know, with just one side of your brain there trying to overcome that issue. But the moment that, you know, maybe the one who's beside you, right, or maybe even on the back seat says, listen, I'm here too, I can help, right? This is all metaphorical, obviously, but it's like you allow them to help, you allow them to point to you, point to your masculine side of the brain, what is the practical issue, but from a very intuitive stance, from a very intuitive point of view. So there is this distinction, or it's more like a focus, right? It's like clearing all the debris, right? If we think of a car stuck in the mud, it's like there's going to be a lot of dirt around, right? You're going to get dirty in just trying to overcome that. But the moment that you allow the feminine to help you, it's like you are able to find the thing. It's almost like you weren't seeing the problem for what it is practically, even though you were choosing a practical approach, a more masculine, straightforward, logical approach, but you weren't seeing the problem, right? Because you were stuck in your head, in a sense. So being stuck in the mud could be like just stuck in one side of your brain, right? So with this Chariot, the symbolism of the Chariot, of, you know, being able to move quick, to move fast, to speed up, right? It's not yet achievable, because there's got to be some time for you to love yourself, for you to integrate both sides of who you are, and then see the things for what it is, right? Not excluding anything, including everything, but being able to differentiate, to distinguish the true practical issue, and then move forward. Because the way that I'm seeing this is like, now both of you, it's like, it's not like there is one, you know, one side of your brain that is taking the driver's seat and then the other is at the back seat, right? It's like both of you are out of the car and pushing the car from the back up, right? To really be able to do this together. So the moment that you're not stuck anymore, I want to say that yes, you are going to be able to move quickly, but it's just like this pebble, right? Or this rock that is keeping this wheel stuck, that is not moving. But it's like when you integrate feminine and masculine, you are going to be able to together push through much more simply or easily than you were imagining. So it feels very simple and straightforward. I truly hope that this was helpful. I am going to pull more cards to see what happens when you are unstuck, in a sense. And also I'm going to pull from the astrological runes. So if you want to join me in the extended, I'll be very happy to see you. You can find a link down below. If not, I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.